This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne. What you are about to hear is a sports talk radio show unlike any other that has ever before been broadcast in the capital city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, USA. This is Cheyenne, Wyoming's Sports Talk Authority. The Wyoming Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the Colorado Rockies, and the Denver Nuggets. The show is local. It's regional, and yes, the show is national as well. Wyoming Sports Talk Today is on the air. If they're talking sports on the radio in Cheyenne, this is the place it happens. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
Wyoming Sports Talk Today being brought to you by Taco John's of Cheyenne. It's a very simple math drill today. 2 words, Taco Tuesday. At all participating Taco John's of Cheyenne. Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service over on Highway 30, exclusive home for Jayco RVs, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. Again, some great pricing specials for you right now. Great financing package also in place over at Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service on Highway 30 here in Cheyenne. Chick-fil-A at the corner of Windmill and Del Range, directly across from Powers Field and Menards. 2 convenient drive-thrus serving up 3 delicious squares 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. And again, we know them for lunch and dinner. Check them out for breakfast. They are absolutely delicious, all of the goodies that they serve. Great eats and treats from Chick-fil-A. Kia of Cheyenne over on Nation Way. The lot is filled with 2019 Kias looking for new homes right now. Maybe you're one that wants to take one of those Kias home with you. We'll take a test drive, fill out the paperwork, and you're on your way. Kia of Cheyenne on Nation Way. Flat Valley Bank, banking times 2 from our good friends over on Vanda High and at the corner of College and Pershing. Again, banking the old-fashioned way, banking the high-technology way, everything in between, including new home loans, auto loans, remodel loans. You'll find them all over at Flat Valley Bank. Medicap Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical needs over on Bluegrass Circle, right next door to Texas Roadhouse, as per normal. And again, they're there Monday through Saturday. They also have a convenient drive-thru for you at Medicap Pharmacy. Lennox Auto Body and the Auto Glass and Detail Center. The Auto Glass and Detail Center can be found over on Pershing Boulevard. The main auto body shop with a plethora of bays is over on Dunn Avenue. Family-owned, family-operated for a quarter century, founded by Dick Lennox, the tradition carried on by Heather, as Heather Lennox does exactly what Dad did and makes the business bigger and better. Lennox Auto Enterprises. First Tier Bank over at 1508 Stillwater Avenue. Again, with the CD rates right now, not too bad. And you're going to find over at First Tier Bank a 27-month CD with an annual percentage yield right now of 3.1%. Banking done the old-fashioned way. Customer service open Monday through Friday. First Tier Bank. Across the street at 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D. In the Greenway Commons, it's Mondello's Pizzeria. Again, Paisan cuisine at its sbest. Joe Mondello puts his best foot forward, and he's been doing this for 30-plus years now. Again, we're talking delicious pie. We're talking calzones, stromboli, sandwiches on fresh baked bread, all ingredients fresh and delicious. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. We get things underway with our scoreboard, and our scoreboard is being brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne. We go to Nick.
Unfortunately, nothing on the local side, no hockey, but I do want to give an update on the College World Series elimination game as that is underway. We've had a few games the past couple days, but one underway right now. It is delayed, however. Louisville, this is an elimination game between Louisville and Auburn. Louisville does have the lead 4-1, but again, it is delayed due to weather out there in Nebraska. So that's what's happening, at least college baseball-wise.
Major League Baseball, they'll try to get one underway tonight at Nats Park. It'll be the Phils and the Nationals. Yesterday's game wiped out. They'll make that up tomorrow. Rays and the Yankees in the Bronx at 5:05. Also in the 5 o'clock hour, Tigers in the box at PNC. Angels, Blue Jays in the Rogers Center. Astros, Reds at Great American Ballpark. Mets and the Bravos, 5:20. That'll be in Cumberland, Georgia. 6 o'clock hour, have the White Sox and the Cubs. How about a good interleague matchup for the Windy City at Wrigley Field tonight? Indians and Rangers at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Red Sox Twins at Target Field. Marlins Cardinals will hook up at Busch. In the 7 o'clock hour, the only 7 o'clock game, 7:40, Rocks and the Diamondbacks at Chase Field in Phoenix. Antonio Sensatella will be on the hill for the Rockies, and towing the rubber for the Diamondbacks will be Merrill Kelly. 8 o'clock games will have the Orioles at the Athletics in the Oakland Coliseum. Brewers Padres 8:10 at Petco. Dodgers again hosting the Giants. That will be at Dodger Stadium. And it will be the Royals and the M's at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Scoreboard brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne.
Yo, this is your cup holder talking. You know me, the little round thing between your car seats. Now, listen, we need to talk. Now, I normally have a nice cold bottle of Mountain Dew in me, but at the moment, I'm empty. That's right, no Mountain Dew. Nothing in here but a couple of quarters and a dime. A fully capable cup holder like me just carrying your loose change, it's embarrassing. Look, I'm not made for loose change. I'm round like a bottle of Mountain Dew. Glistening, cold, and delicious. I'm made to keep Mountain Dew within reach at all times, so you're never far from that incredible bold citrus kick whenever you need it. Just inches from your hand. So find a store already, grab some Dew, toss it back, then place that bottle where it belongs, and put that loose change back in your pocket. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
That, lazy, and stupid is no way to conduct a sports talk radio show. We've thrown down the gauntlet, upped the stakes, and made it clear that when it comes to sports talk radio in Cheyenne, there's a new player in town. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's only here on AM 1480 KRAE.
It is Wyoming Sports Talk today for yet another rainy Tuesday in our part of the world. We are joined in studio by Chris Polton on this wet Tuesday afternoon. We haven't seen Chris since March. Also, too, congratulations on becoming dad again for the second time, because I think it happened,
February.
during the regionals, right?
Yeah, I think it was just before the regional, right before I think Central and East. I made a deal with my wife. If you can have our son, before that Friday game between Central and East, I'll do everything I can to make sure she's well taken care of at the hospital and then after birth too. So she's kept up her end and I kept up my end because she made sure I was able to make it, because that was the last weekend of regular season. So it was the week before regionals.
So it all timed out perfectly.
I wish everything else could happen
with
that
me.
way.
Everything was late back in the time when my children were to be born. But anyway, it's a good thing that you're now a dad for a second time.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, less sleep, but but it's all right.
Yeah, that's the part of being. You're young.
That's right.
You get old. That's the tough part.
Yeah, that's right.
When you become a grandpa, that will be the worst part.
Well, at least when you're a grandparent, you can just give them back when they start crying.
Yeah, but usually you dump them off at your place. So
That's
remember
true.
that.
That's true.
Oh, that's at least what my parents used to do. All right,
so
next across the way, he wants to say something.
Well, at least, again, it has been a while since we've heard from Chris here on the 1480 KRAE airwaves. Again, going back to basketball. Again, we will hear from him at least football season as well, too. And again, the upcoming high school basketball. But again, a lot to talk about with you, whether it is your Dodgers who just keep dominating MLB. Also, too, at least with you finally back in studio of what we did last year. Again, continuing kind of the little tradition. It is year number 2 of this, of at least the Wyoming Sports Talk Today Spelling Bee. At least this year, I think last year we did NHL Final Edition. This year, at least I tabulated a list, and I went with NBA Finals Edition, so we'll have fun with that at some point in time, as, again, you'll be here until 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock hour, we'll at least boot you out, and then we'll bring in Cheyenne Post 6, at least manager Ty Lain. We'll get his thoughts on a few things, but again, a lot to talk to you about. We can start wherever you want. Again, with the MLB, with your Dodgers just continuing their dominance. Trade deadline, what we saw from the NBA Finals. Again, there is so much to talk to you about. We can even talk about little local hoops, little football as well too, as possibility. But let's start with the Dodgers. Right now where they are, again, sitting about 10 games above every other team in the NL West. Is this, for you, Chris, what you expect out of the Dodgers again? Is this the same old, same old? I mean, right now, are the Dodgers, in your opinion, a team that can finally win a World Series? Have they built up enough? Are they the best team right now in Major League Baseball?
I do think, and record will tell you that they are the best team in at least the National League. There's still some teams in the American League that scare me. The Twins are off to a great start. I don't know if they can keep the pace that they're on, but the Houston Astros look like they're right back where they're supposed to be. But it's weird this year with the Dodgers because they have always hung their hat on pitching, and they're still really good pitching. But if you look at their numbers, Kershaw's not having a great year. Great wins-loss record, but for Clayton Kershaw, not great ERA, not great opponents batting, but it's been just new guys. Like Hyun-Jin Ryu is finally healthy, and he looks like he's, if you ended the season this year, he'd be the NL Cy Young winner. And then I think just the evolution of Cody Bellinger, where he no longer is just a guy swinging for the downs every single time. He's actually created himself a great MLB hitting approach, and between his speed and his pop, you're starting to see one of the more elite 5-tool players. And I think that's probably been the most exciting part of this, first 2 months and change of the season. We're kind of getting close to halfway point. Yep. Is that is just every single night this guy's doing something different, whether it's in the field or with the stick.
I don't know if Kershaw would trade ERA for what he's 6-1 right now with a 3.13. Yeah, it's not Clayton Kershaw-ish ERA, but 6-1 record right now. I mean, he's been a very consistent starter for the Dodgers. And like last night when we were watching the Giants and the Dodgers, Maeda just threw too many pitches. That was his only downfall. I mean, he didn't throw bad, and the Giants are probably the weakest hitting lineup in Major League Baseball, but once in a while, blind squirrel finds a nut, and I'm glad the Giants won last night.
Yeah, it looked like last night with Maeda, he just couldn't find the out pitch. He would get to 2 strikes, no big deal, and then you would just see their hitters just continually battle. And then, of course, Brandon Crawford comes up with a big hit, which usually when the Giants do beat the Dodgers, Brandon Crawford has a big part in it.
Or panic. One of those two, the lighter hitting guys.
Right, exactly. So, for Maeda to get through 5 innings was impressive. But I think just if I could put the shoe on the other foot, which I don't like to do because I don't like to speak too positive about the Giants, you have to be excited about Beede because he is that top prospect pitcher, that top arm. At least he was a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. For him to throw as well as he had. I mean, the Dodgers dominate right-handed pitching because it gives them a chance to put Jock in the lineup, Verdugo, who's been really good, Muncy, who's been out of this world so far, especially against the Giants. He really did a great job holding down a very potent offense, and the Giants have the best bullpen in baseball. It's crazy to think that the Giants are maybe a few offensive players away from just being competitive again.
Well, this is probably the year for the Dodgers to have the complete team.
Bullpen.
Well, that's probably their downside, but
and
they will get healthy in the trades.
Yeah, again, that's where trade and something we talked about yesterday and something that has been brewing, especially between these two teams, as much as they are rivals, and obviously with the rivalry last night with Beede getting his first ever Major League at least win as a pitcher. You do toss out the records between these two, obviously, where we've had, Giants be dominant, Dodgers have kind of weak years. Again, it hasn't happened recently, but, again, anything can happen between these rivalry. But right now, what we're seeing is we got possible trade talks between these two, obviously, with a new GM for the San Francisco Giants, former LA Dodger GM, so he knows that team very well, knows what pieces are available and what maybe to get trades with to bring up to the Giants to develop, as this team is kind of cashing in at this point in time, realizing, hey, we have no farm system of what we built to get 3 championships there in the early 2010s. But, I mean, does that offend you of a possibility? Does that, as a fan, again, as we sit, Giants fan, you a Dodger fan, obviously you hate to see those in-division trades or at least trying to bolster another team. For instance, where you're talking about bullpen needs issue, Giants have that bullpen pieces where Will Smith has been talked about at least trading. Does that upset you of where you might be losing some prospects of the Giants that might down the road eventually affect this team? On our side, definitely don't want to at least get rid of some of these pieces, but also too, I look towards the future of, hey, if some of these Dodger prospects that we are potentially going to get do work for this team, it could be a positive down the line. But what are your thoughts?
One thing I've learned in the last really ever since this new group took over, Stan Castens and then Zahidi Farhan, even though now that he's gone, is they are very stern on the prospects they will not get rid of. They never got rid of Walker Buehler. They never got rid of Julio Urias. They never got rid of Seager. Guys like Cody Bellinger. They said these guys are untouchable, and they stuck with it. With that being the case, I don't know if a trade to the Giants will ever happen because, Farhan wants specific guys for specific arms, and if he doesn't get it, Farhan has been a guy that's been okay to walk away from a trade. He's never given up too much. He's never really been tried to stretch out a certain prospect to try to get somebody for a rental player, so to say. You just have never seen him do that. If you look at the prospects that the Dodgers have given up, you don't hear their names out there too much. Maybe the most is the Montez from Oakland. He's done pretty well this year as far as starting pitching goes, but look at the prospects that they've given up. Nobody's ever come back to hurt them. So the last thing they want to do is give a prospect to the Giants who can then come back and hurt them.
But is this the time in the year that, at least for the Dodgers, where they do make the kind of deal with the devil, so to speak, with the Giants, of where they do give up some of those, not the whole farm system, but some of those big names where, for the Dodgers, you look back of where, and something we talked about for, well over a decade or so for the Dodgers, you've been a successful franchise, but you have yet to taste, championship gold, so to speak, with the World Series. You've gotten there, but you have yet to win it, unlike your rivals up north with the San Francisco Giants. Is it time? Is this the point in time for the Dodgers to go and realize we want to win now?
Right.
Our fans are ready to win now. We've been sitting and waiting. These NOS division titles are fine and dandy. We've been to the World Series, but again, for the Dodgers, any other team, your end goal is to win that championship. And is this the point in time where they do find a way, where you need that bullpen help or some other way? Maybe it is, they package in a deal with Madison Bumgarner to get down to the LA Dodgers as well, too. Could that be the scenario? Is this a year where they do give up some of those big names just so they can win now?
They just have never done that in the past, so I don't see why they would change it all of a sudden. I could see them going after Vasquez, who's with the Pirates, who's their closer right now. I can see them going after some other Brad Hand with Cleveland Indians
and Seattle, because they're fire sailing right now.
Right. So I can see them doing that. The Dodgers have never been an organization the last since they've been on this NL West championship run where they're willing to crutch their future for 1 year of success. Their goal isn't just to win one World Series. Their goal is to win a handful, plethora of World Series. Now, what's different about what their approach and the Giants' approach is the Giants did everything in a span of 7 years. Yeah, about 7-8 years. So really for the Giants, they built it the same exact way. They weren't willing to forego their future as much because even the guys that they traded and brought in, they were fairly young for the most part. It wasn't like they got somebody that was on the tail end. They had a couple, but when they traded guys for a guy like Hunter Pence, they had Hunter Pence for 6 years? It wasn't a guy that they never brought in really too many rental players other than like a Carlos Beltran.
They did in 2010. They did deplete the system a little bit. So they did give away a lot of prospects.
The last World Series is probably what got
14,
them.
yeah. But, it started in 2010 because they were bringing in journeyman players.
You brought in a Huff. You brought in,
But did they get Huff in a trade or did they get him on free agency?
They brought in the guy from Philadelphia. I can't remember.
Pat Burrell.
Yeah, Burrell. They brought him in. They brought him in for prospects. So they did give up some of the farm, future
with
farm.
Burrell, with Beltran.
They still had that youth core. They had Lincecum that was young, Matt Cain that was young, Posey who was young. And I think they swung and missed on a few prospects too. Like I think Brandon Belt, they expected a lot more out of Brandon Belt. They expected him to be a top 3 corner infielders, top 3 bat from the corner side, and he just has never developed that way. They thought Brandon Crawford's bat would be a little bit more consistent. Defensively, he's probably just as good as Trevor Story or a Corey Seager because his defense is just second to none. But his bat has just.
But he's an atypical shortstop of yesteryear who was a great, Ozzie Smith, great shortstop, but only hit 250.
Right.
And Crawford, they were expecting more out of his bat. Well, his bat has come back to the rest of the pack now. He's hitting about 250, and He should not be batting in the number 4. He should not
Right.
be batting in the number 5 spot. He's a 7 or 8 hole hitter.
Well, and you got Panda. Panda was so high when he first came in, and all of a sudden it just seemed like everything was coming so easy, so he stopped working. And what happened? He gained a bunch of weight, and then he tried to lose all the weight. And I think he spent so much time worried about his weight, he didn't really spend enough time on his actual game. And now you're seeing that, he was a guy that they had to pick up from waivers last year because nobody else wanted him at the time.
Boston made a $95 million mistake
True.
in getting him, too. He also got hurt last night. He got his hand stepped on. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup for tonight.
But also, too, I think for the Panda move was also to kind of appease fans out there in San Francisco of saying, hey, this is a guy that you're familiar with. Let's bring it back as, again, is he going to add much to the lineup? Probably not, but it is still a familiar face of saying, hey, welcome him back. Get a reason to at least head out to AT&T Oracle Park to go watch
Crowds
Giants
dropped off significantly
Well,
over
and-
in San Francisco.
And I think you're going to start seeing these franchises start using, I don't want to say it's the Dodger model because I think other teams started doing it first, but you're going to see teams that really build the middle of their core within their system. So that, I mean like center fielder, their shortstop, second baseman, their catchers, and their pitchers. They're going to try to get as many of those guys drafted or international drafted and then go out and try to sprinkle in some free agents or trades that way because that's what the Dodgers have done.
That's what the Rockies
Astros
are trying to do right now.
Right, and the Rockies, unfortunately for the Rockies, they have a bunch of 2-year guys that are in their second full year that just haven't, I was just looking at the numbers. Marquez has had a terrible last 2 weeks. He's got like a 10 ERA. You got Freeland, who, just all of a sudden forgot what was successful. Now, I think a lot of it is, too, the league catches up to you, so how are you going to adjust?
Well, and again,
it's taking Freeland a little bit longer.
This is where I was at yesterday, and I'm calling for Foster's head. I think it's time for him and Holmes to go bye-bye. I think they need to get somebody in there who is going to not so much develop the pitchers, but is going to be somebody who's not afraid to say, hey, you're not cutting it. We're going to, again, where they did with Lincecum and they did with Barry Zito. Again, a Dave Righetti. That's what they need. They need a solid former pitcher that knows the game. I mean, we're talking Foster barely, had above 500. Holmes was not that good of a closer in his years. And again, they need somebody who's going to be a steady Eddie. If you are having, problems, I'm going to work with you. Let's sit down. Let's go through this stuff. I don't think Foster is working with these guys to a certain degree.
If I was Jeff Bridich, I would want Bud Black to go out there and handpick a guy. When Bud Black was successful in San Diego, those were his people.
Yeah, he had incorporated these guys after Walt Weiss got the book.
Yeah, and then so Bud Black, if you look at his San Diego Padres teams, even though they weren't always the best of teams, they always had really good bullpens. And I think Bridich did everything he possibly could to make the Rockies a good bullpen. Brian Shaw was very good in the 8th inning for the Indians. Wade Davis probably had a 2-3 year span where he was the best closer in baseball. What else can you do? You try to go through the system. Estevez just hasn't been as good. Oberg has shown really good glimpses at times.
He's gotten a lot better.
He's shown really good glimpses, and they couldn't keep a guy like Ottavino because they'd already poured so much money into the bullpen that they had to let Ottavino go, which I think you're starting to see the Rockies feel a little bit, the fact that they couldn't bring a guy like Ottavino back.
Well, again, he was your main piece of the bullpen that was pretty pathetic last year, and you wonder for the idiots, and again, where you saw with Davis, you saw with a lot of these pieces getting at least brought in by the Rockies, whether it was other teams seeing and realizing, hey, you don't have that stuff anymore, we got to get you out of here and just kind of move on, and basically the Rockies kind of picked up those pieces and tried to do what they can, and now realizing, all right, these aren't working for us. This is a reason why you didn't get re-signed by the Indians or whoever it may be at this point. But sticking on the topic with the Colorado Rockies, where I've, unfortunately have handed the Dodgers the division this year, and I think that's easy to say, but you as a fan of this team and just being close and seeing what's happening in the NL West, Are you feeling pretty confident that the Dodgers have no other competition in the NL West? Will the Rockies entertain? Will Arizona or San Diego? Where, again, those three teams have a shot. Giants are completely out of it. But is there any team that has a chance to catch the Dodgers, or is it Dodgers basically have won this thing here June 18th?
Here's what's scary. This is the only thing that's scary to me because the Dodgers do have 7 games, I believe, in the next 2 weeks or next 3 weeks against the Rockies. Actually, I think on this road trip after Arizona, they go to the Dodgers, and then the Dodgers come here next weekend for 4 games. The thing that scares me is this. is the Rockies starting pitching has been atrocious. Like their whole staff, they're third to last in the league. They're 37 and 34. Okay, at some point, the law of averages in baseball will tell you is a guy like German Marquez is going to start acting like German Marquez of last year and start being able to throw in some quality innings. Kyle Freeland is a guy that once he gets his head right in AAA, he will come up and start giving some quality innings.
Gray has been probably their most consistent pitcher.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the outing that he had in relief the other day, I mean,
what can you do? He was put in a really bad situation.
And thanks to Wade Davis.
Right. Pete Lambert, he had one bad start, but before that he shut down a really good Cubs lineup.
Twice, yeah.
And so they have pieces that you would be considered as, okay, does scare me a little bit, especially because this offense just put up a whole bunch of runs. Granted, it was against the Padres, but still, I mean, this offense is still as potent as it ever has been. And what's really scary, too, is Desmond's getting hot. Desmond, in the last, since I believe they said May 18th, is hitting over 300. And if you have your 6-7 holes starting to hit that well, and now you just got more protection for guys like Blackman and
you're also getting your middle relief with Bettis.
Right.
And Oberg. I think those two are now being stable, and then they get Russin back. That's going to make them even that much better. However, need an 8th and 9th inning guy.
Right.
McGee, no. Dunn, no. Shaw, no. Davis, no. Two of them need their unconditional release as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So ask me after this 7-game, because I think the only team that can catch the Dodgers is the Rockies.
No.
So if it's anything like how opening day went, then yeah, I have nothing to sweat as far as the NL West goes.
Well, it's just interesting hearing you talk about the offense with the Rockies, where again, combined with the San Diego Padres, I think in that 4-game series that they just had, 92 runs in total by both teams. It was an MLB record, just in at least in a series between two teams. That is something where we talked about the numbers at least yesterday for the Rockies, where you look at runs allowed and runs scored for at least for the Rockies. I mean, we're talking about, I think, at least of yesterday, it was a 12-run positive differential, but also, too, again, where, offense, we knew it was going to be potent. It had a spark at some point in time, but right now the killer part for the Rockies is that pitching where, for instance, where offense, at least an offensive-minded team or at least an offensive powerhouse like the Dodgers can easily take advantage where, okay, the Rockies, you spot them maybe about 5 runs, especially here down the road in Denver at Coors Field. But I think at least for the Dodgers, it's something that team does not sweat of, okay, we spot them that 5-run or, again, however so to this Rockies offense. But, again, the Dodgers easily can take advantage where, again, Marquez and all these other pitchers where we're allowing, 12 runs a game, 11 runs, 9, it just, just umpteenth amount of runs where that was against the Padres. Not really that scary an offensive team. Dodgers, however, can easily take advantage and not have to worry about, oh, wow, they put up 6 runs here in this inning. We got this complete in the stone.
If I'm the Dodgers right now and getting past the Giants and you look at 48-44, I think was the final numbers from the 92 runs, and then you sit there and you go, wow, we got the Rockies coming here. I'm licking my chops.
Yeah, especially because they start in L.A. and then the very next weekend they come here for 4. So, yeah, I mean, that's a guy like Cody Bellinger who, just completely torched the Rockies that opening weekend. I'm sure he'll love the fact that he'll get to see, 7 games in 14 days.
Well, and again, I go back to saying, the Dodgers are going to win the West. There's no doubt in my mind. It's a matter of the Rockies getting that first playoff spot, first wild card spot. This is where they're going to have to be buyers, and they're going to have to be smart buyers, but they're also going to have to dump. They're going to have to get rid of dead weight.
Well, and I think for the Rockies, it's really good that Desmond is playing as well, because with how Raimel Tapia has been playing, you can probably get rid of one of those guys and get a pretty decent return.
Right.
You could send one of those guys to another contender and get something decent in return. I think you'll get more back for Tapia than you would for Desmond, because Tapia has a cheaper contract.
And Desmond's older.
Right, and Desmond is, I think he's pushing 30. He's got to be.
Yeah.
And so that is good in that sense. The only thing that's different from this year to last year is there's more teams involved. If you look at the Braves are putting up runs just as many as the Rockies are, and they're not even playing at Coors Field. They're playing in Atlanta, and they got a very potent lineup 1 through 8, and then their pitching staff isn't. A lot of guys you don't really know other than Julio Teheran. Everybody knows that name because he's been in the All-Star game. But Fultonevich, you have a couple of other I can't remember his name, but he in his very first year, I want to say it's like Scola or Socola or something like that. Yeah. And they have a decent bullpen. Philadelphia is definitely a lot better than they were last year. I don't think their record's indicative to where they'll be because Aaron Nola hasn't pitched very well this year. Bryce Harper really hasn't played up to that contract yet.
He's definitely
this year.
a shelf himself.
Yeah, but he's hitting Bryce Harper average.
Right. And then you have the Central. The Central could probably be the deepest division in all of baseball because the Pirates, no matter what, Clinton Hurdle does a great job because no matter what they do, they seem to always be competitive. And then you have the Cardinals, which I heard you say yesterday, Nick, you can never count them out, and I completely agree. As long as they have their little core there, and as long as Yachty is still behind there, their pitching staff will always be fully prepared, and they still have guys like Carpenter. They still have, they have Marcell Ozuna. They have guys that can really swing the bat really well, and then the Cubs and the Brewers. The Brewers were second in the NL last year, and the Cubs look like with the addition to Kimbrel could be. I wouldn't be shocked if they, Vegas wise, if after that acquisition of Kimbrel, you don't see their odds going up to the NL.
You see with the Rockheads right now, the 2 games that they lost to the Padres, these are games you can't get back.
Right.
And, again, you need that steady Eddie closer. Now, Holland was a first-half guy for them and then kind of was very shaky. Davis is not. He's just been way too inconsistent. And, again, we were talking yesterday, Brian Wilson, for example. Wilson, in his heyday, you gave him the ball, you basically won. Or Rob Nen.
Yeah.
You gave these guys,
Nen,
Bruce Sutter, Goose Gossage. When they had the ball in their hand, you knew – and I'm sorry, Mariano Rivera. You had the game won. Once they stepped onto the field, game over. You don't know now with a Rockies closer if they're going to be able to get the job done. And they can't afford to lose giveaway games like they did here this past weekend.
Name in 26 years of the Rockies franchise of who has been that consistent for Rockies. Again,
Brian Fuentes was probably the most consistent they had, and that was probably for 2 years.
Yeah, again, he had his own issues, at least with the Rockies team. But, I mean, it's a franchise that is not known for its pitching, but also, too, of what goes in. And it goes in with Hall of Fame. It goes in with everything that is a tribute to the Rockies is Coors Field, that elevation, blah, 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 where, again, it is something where pitchers go there, where their careers, at least, again, as we talked to a few entities, it's almost like your career goes there to die, where you see these elevated ERAs, you see your wins-loss tank, you see strikeouts dwindle because, again, it is such a hitter-friendly ballpark where, again, can you find someone, could for instance, could a Brian Wilson in his heyday have the same results pitching at least 81 games or at least having save opportunities there at Coors Field or being a part of this team?
Well, teams that come into Coors Field, they seem to find a way to get the job. I was going to say Manny Corpus, too.
He was
probably the
in
better.
The World Series. Yeah,
but he was probably better than Fuentes.
Yeah, you're right. One thing I'll just say across the board when it comes to closers, if you look at life expectancy, or at least as far as how many years you see a closer really be good, there's not a ton of them out there. I mean, Craig Kimbrel's had numerous years of being very good, but look at a guy like Kenley Jansen. He had 3 to 4 really strong years, but last year wasn't great. This year, not as good. He still has a ERA above 3, and that's kind of been almost a trend for the Dodgers. You had Eric Gagne, who had 2 to 3 really amazing years and then kind of fell off. Jonathan Broxton, 2 or 3 really great years, and then now Kenley Jansen. But if you look at across the board, I mean, St. Louis was rolling out young starters as their closers. Wainwright started as a closer. Waka started as a closer when they were winning their World Series, but then nobody really has that
The last closer that was the man was Rivera.
And then if you look at the NL, it's Trevor Hoffman.
Which is
why the awards are named after them.
So,
but it is something of catching kind of fire in a bottle, so to speak,
Right.
of where, as you talk about, with the Dodgers, with the Rockies, again, you see with the Giants, and across all of baseball, where, yes, it does seem like those closers, even setup men, we go back to Sergio Romo, who played, again, where he was either setting up in the 8th inning or closing eventually for the Giants, where, again, he had those these few years, and now he's kind of been that journeyman because he's almost a shell of himself.
Right.
Brian Wilson ran into that, and just the name, just an umpteenth amount, where it does feel like for the Rockies, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, of where you got to take that option. But, for what they picked up, did they pick up a shell of a player, or is it a guy that has no more to offer, like teams are realizing of, okay, that's why we're releasing you, is you kind of run your course at this point.
If you look at Wade Davis, look at his workload that he had in Kansas City. I mean, they used him. Kansas City only had their starters go 5-6 innings tops because they had guys like Soria and Herrera and then Davis. And it went like that every single time. Or in the year previous to that, it was Herrera, Davis, and then Greg Holland. These guys get you. The closing is the toughest spot because you have to get ready quickly, and sometimes you're not all the way ready, which is what Wade Davis. Wade Davis will never admit it, but that's kind of what happened to Wade Davis the other night. And then, two, these are high, every single game you come into is high leverage, right? So every single pitch that you throw has a little bit more than, say, like a starting pitcher, where you're pitching the first inning and first 5 innings doesn't mean as much. But for a closer, every pitch means something. And I think it does do something to the body over time.
These guys are getting paid big bucks to throw strikes, and they're not doing it. And going back to Sergio Romo, I think Sergio Romo has actually found him a home right now at Tampa. Because again,
he's in Miami now.
Yeah, he's in Miami.
Oh, he went with Miami, but he was at Tampa.
He was, yeah. They in Tampa, he was the starter, or they called him the opener, where he would start the game. And Miami's used him a little bit. Now he's back, I think, to just being straight-up closer for Miami.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. We are going to be back with more after these words here on 1480 KRAE.
Are you looking for a pharmacist who will actually take the time to talk to you? Then come to Medicap Pharmacy. We're dedicated to healthcare only, which means we'll fill your prescription quickly, and then we'll make time to listen, answer your questions, explain your prescriptions, and tell you about possible drug interactions.
Medicap Pharmacy will always make time for you.
Medicap Pharmacy, 1947 Bluegrass Circle, next to Texas Roadhouse in Cheyenne. Or call 635-3712.
Summer is just beginning, and it's a great time to plan all your home improvement and remodeling projects. This is Lexi.
And this is Aaron from Platte Valley Bank. A home equity line of credit can help finance summer projects, but can also fund summer fun like a boat, ATV, or even a convertible.
Stop in either Cheyenne location and we'll show you the hidden value in your home with a home equity line of credit from Platte Valley Bank.
Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Credit subject to approval. Certain restrictions apply.
Looking for an IT company with friendly, local customer service and the expertise to handle any job? Then go with a name you trust, High West Digital Solutions, a High West energy company. We handle everything from business network management to personal computer problems to same-day phone and tablet repairs. Visit our website at hwds.com or call 307-245-4333 and speak to a real-live human being, local, polite, and eager to help. High West Digital Solutions, the best choice, the local choice, the right choice for you. Chick-fil-A is a proud supporter of our high school athletes at East, Central, and South. May the school year bring success to all of you. Before you start your day, stop by Chick-fil-A for a hearty, delicious, and satisfying breakfast. Only at Windmill and Del Range. Breakfast is served Monday through Saturday from 6 in the morning till 10:30 a.m. Breakfast with Chick-fil-A, the most important meal of the day at Windmill and Del Range.
If it happens on the diamond, the hardwood, the field, or even the ice, we'll talk about it on Wyoming Sports Talk today. Hi, this is Nick Peretti inviting you to join Larry Peretti and myself each weekday from 3 to 5 p.m. as we, along with our special guests, talk sports locally, regionally, and nationally. And you can chat with us too at 307-514-1071. It's Wyoming Sports Talk today only on 1480 KRAE, and you can stream live with us at 1480krae.com.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
For today, it'll be cloudy with thunderstorms likely throughout the day with highs around 67. For tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with rain showers likely with lows around 47. On Wednesday, it'll be mostly sunny with highs around 76. And on Wednesday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 47.
We're taking Cheyenne, Wyoming Sports Talk Radio to a whole new level. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
Don't look at me. I think these people are completely nuts.
Stop this crazy thing! And it's only here on AM 1480 KRAE.
Back on Wyoming Sports Talk today in the studio for the first hour, we have our high school hoops voice. Chris Polton joined us. Also, he'll be handling some of the high school football. By the way, mark it down your calendar, November 4th. You'll probably have that game. I will be down in Arizona.
Oh, I may be in Arizona that same week.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, we'll leave it in Nick's hands.
Right.
He can do everything. Here's something for you. The Major League Baseball Umpires Association responded to Manny Machado's suspension by issuing a strongly worded statement today, equating Machado's actions to violence in the workplace. So the Major League Baseball Umpires Association posted the statement to Twitter, where everybody has to tweet these days, along with the hashtags included disappointed, lead by example, violence, temper tantrum, nonsense, make an example of. The tweet had close to 1,000 replies on Twitter, and the tweet is here. It's pretty lengthy. So obviously not everybody's excited about Manny Machado just getting a one-game suspension. And then it's also shown the next day on the Rockies game where Machado is talking to the umpire and basically apologizing to him, and the umpire says, hey, it's okay.
Right. Well,
so, yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't like Manny Machado. You're not gonna sell me on Manny Machado, but he did apologize to the umpire the next day.
This is like his 15th incident since he's ever come. At some point it just becomes habitual, and he's kind of when the Dodgers traded for him. It was great because we needed somebody to fill that shortstop role, but I wasn't upset when he didn't get re-signed by the Dodgers. He's just a guy that's not. He's never been about a team. He's been about himself. Yeah. And I think he's got a really bad temper, and he's kind of, when he threw the bat at Josh Donaldson when he went to throw it at the pitcher, when he did that swing and miss in Baltimore. I think that depicts the kind of character that Manny Machado has.
Yeah, he's a hothead. Again, I think for you as a Dodger fan, it was good that he moved on. Is he worth the money that San Diego gave to him? No. Absolutely not. I at least he's a solid player, but again, if I'm taking at least I need a franchise, or at least build a franchise around. Give me Nolan Arenado compared to Manny Machado.
Yeah.
Again, I'm taking Nolan Arenado. I'd give him that money as Colorado, tried to do, or at least did. He's not a guy that you can build around for that San Diego Padres franchise. He's going to be a good piece for them, but it is nothing that is going to elevate or at least get him to the promised land is what, the Padres were thinking. And again, that money that they just unloaded on him, where is he going to stay the full 10 years or at least stay that entire contract?
No.
Probably not.
Well,
there's no way.
Here's the deal. Do you want Manny Machado around your young studs that you have in San Diego? You want Fernando Tatis to be looking up to. Luckily, Tatis has a great head on his shoulder because his dad played in the pros. But do you want him to look at the mannerisms of Manny Machado and use that as kind of like a guiding light for him?
I think for the Dodgers, you were smart. At least that team was smart to do in the offseason of not even re-signing Manny Machado again, who is a hothead, but also too of who I think is still a hothead as well too. But again, decent player is one Yasiel Puig. Where, again, for Cincinnati, interesting where they're not necessarily building around Puig, but he is an added bat to that lineup for the future, possibly. But as you're talking about those young players who may be impressionable, where you're going to have those entities, at least those vets who may try to get in and try to take them under their wing, so to speak. Right now, Cincinnati, interesting to watch where that team kind of leads up, where, again, some of those youth that they bring and develop. Same with San Diego. Will this be kind of cancerous? Will it be a Carmelo Anthony effect of where I see your talent, but you're
Right.
killing the locker room.
Well, if there's any indication on how much the Dodgers valued Yasiel Puig, they did not get anything player-wise back from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
It was purely a salary dump. Honestly, when they did it, I thought the salary dump was for them to go really hard after Bryce Harper, or some of the other pitchers that were available at that time. They ended up just sticking with AJ Pollock, which, granted, other than the injuries, I was happy with. But that's how they valued Yasiel Puig. So if that's any indication on really what the Dodgers felt,
And what have we heard about Puig in Cincinnati? Not much.
no, and
It's been a relatively quiet.
Involved in, I think, in one incident out there in Cincinnati. But other than that, though, it is obviously he's going to be tucked away because the Reds are just awful
and
right
his
now.
career may go and die right there at Great American Ballpark. Looking back at last night's game here real quick, and I know you wanted to talk basketball, so I'm going to give you that forum here in just a second. Kung Fu Panda last night got stepped on by Max Muncy. So it looks like the damage to the pinky, 4 stitches. And
Jeez.
if you've ever been stepped on before with a spike, and I've got the scar here to tell you, it's not pretty, and believe me, blood does gush from those little injuries here. And the spikes are, they do cut.
well, Max Muncy's public enemy number 1 for the Giants.
Yeah, and Bumgarner, I think they do get Bumgarner on.
They do.
I
I think it's the last
tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow? Or is it the last game of the series?
I'm not sure if I
It's
thought
one or the other.
I
Because
thought it was tomorrow.
a lot of people are saying this will be because I think Kershaw's pitching. So they're talking about how this could
Kershaw
be.
pitches tonight, and then I think it's Bumgarner.
Oh, okay. Well,
it might be tomorrow or the next day.
So Bumgarner, they're just talking about how this could be the last time the Dodgers see Bumgarner in a Giants uniform.
Well, and I would have a feeling that if Muncy is in the starting lineup, I would say, and Bumgarner is the old throwback pitcher, that yes, he will throw a little chin music.
So here's can I just go back to that whole situation with the ball in the ocean deal?
Yeah.
I love how both sides handled it. Muncy was very simple, didn't back down from Bumgarner, but then again, he didn't physically go after. He kept running the bases, whereas Puig would have kept going and then walking towards him.
Yeah.
But what I love after the game is you get the quote from Muncy saying, well, if you didn't like it, you can go get it out of the ocean. But then I love Mad Bum's response. And of course I'm not a big Mad Bum fan because I'm not a big Giants fan, but I love the response where, they're in this movement where you let the kids play, let the kids bat flip, let the kids watch. Well, let me be me, as Bumgarner said. If you're going to let them do what they do, let me be me, and let me have my same fiery attitude that I've had since day one, where, yes, if a guy tries to sit there and showboat me or show me up, I'm going to correct it.
Yeah, you're gonna stand up for yourself, so
Exactly.
to speak. And again, we're for Madison Bumgarner, where again we'll revisit the infamous incident that happened up in South Dakota, where we saw a similar situation, but again where a pitcher went a little bit above and beyond, especially kind of flipping off the bird to that player. Again, Madison Bumgarner is not about that, but again, if you're gonna approach him or do anything in a physical way, he's not afraid to stand up for himself, but in that situation, I think both players, again, it's part of the rivalry.
Right.
You understand it. It's kind of that unwritten
They
rule.
both handled it really well.
Yeah.
And what I liked about Mad Bum is the next time he saw Muncy, he didn't throw at him. He got him out. Because Mad Bum knows you're way better on the bench than you are sitting at first base. So he may buzz the tower a little bit, but he's not going to hit Muncy because he knows.
Well, when Muncy hit the home run last night, he did a little bit of the.
Yeah, of course he did.
So and Mad Bum's watching that.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. He's not going to plunk him,
right?
But he's going to let him know.
He's going to send a message.
Let him know on the inside that belongs to him. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, go ahead, Nick.
So at least moving away from at least baseball, something that you talked with us off air, Chris, going into basketball of at least something that has been big of recent, and again it keeps on developing, and more news we'll talk about it as well too throughout the week. NBA free agency, where it's already gotten underway. Again, the big trade with Anthony Davis heading out the Lakers. Again, the big question marks of where is Kevin Durant going to land? Where is Kawhi Leonard going to be ending up? A lot of entities out there, but you, at least Chris, wanted to give some thoughts on at least where this might be an interesting offseason or free agency for the NBA in just general.
Yeah, for the NBA PA, that nothing worse could have happened than what happened in the last week of the finals, where Durant has as you guys said, he's shutting it down for a whole year. You got Klay Thompson that won't be ready until late January, early February with the ACL. That for the NBAPA, when they want their key players to really set the market when it comes to that max contract, you're not going to see that now, because who's going to offer somebody that's going to have to sit out an entire year a max contract unless you're Golden State, knowing that you want to keep they can afford to have Kevin Durant an entire year. They can afford to have Klay Thompson out for half of the season because of the fact that they have so many other pieces around them that can get them at least to the playoffs, to that point where they can come back.
Right now in the offseason, the Warriors do hold all cards, or at least they are going to be a big determining factor, where I said New Orleans is going to be a big determining factor of where, what leads to, again, with the Anthony Davis situation. But, the Warriors do have at least all cards where will they offer? They've come out and said that we were going to offer supermax contracts to both Klay and KD, which they have that option to do. But again, do they rescind that offer? Do they go, well, is it worth it with a Klay? Is it worth it for a Kevin Durant to wait that time? Do we rescind that offer and go, oh, instead we got a Kawhi, or there's other entities around that we could possibly pick up again? There's a lot of big names in free agency out there. The team could also make trades as well if they wanted to. I just think right now with the free agency, as you talk about with these injuries, yes, with a healthy Kevin Durant, with a healthy Klay Thompson, it makes free agency a lot more interesting, a lot more intriguing, kind of nail-biting of going, where do these pieces now land? I think if we had a healthy Kevin Durant, I think there is a serious argument that New York or either possibly the Lakers would be aggressive and could land Kevin Durant. But I think now with them sitting out sideline where these teams want them to win now, or at least get them into that right direction, don't want to wait that time. And again, this is estimate where, for Kevin Durant, it could be lasting a little bit longer. For Klay, it could be a little bit longer. Who knows? Now I think with those two entities injured, you got to wonder that, are the Knicks really that interested? Are the Lakers really that interested? Are other teams really that interested to, again, invest that money where for the first year or however long it takes, you're not going to get a return yet?
Right. Well, and I know, at least from the Lakers side of things, because that's who I follow more closely, is their goal was to go get AD, and then it wasn't so much Kevin Durant. I think they wanted Klay Thompson. They wanted a shooter to go with AD and LeBron James. And now I think with the ACL injury, you may see a different game plan for the Lakers. And as far as Golden State, if I'm not mistaken, if you end up re-signing with your team, you can actually make more money, right, if you stay with the current team. So it would make sense. And everything that the front office for Golden State is been talking, they've been playing kind of the loyalty card. These players have been very loyal to us. We want to show them that same respect. So especially when you've been to 3 finals in a row, you've won, or sorry, five in a row, and you've won 3, right? 3 of the 5. I mean, you don't want to mess the chemistry all that much. So if you have to, kind of forego a year just because you want to keep the group together, that's fine. My only question is Kevin Durant going to be able to come back from this Achilles and be able to be as productive as he was, this year and last year? Achilles are tough to come back from. It hurt Kobe Bryant's career towards the tail end when he ruptured his Achilles. Granted, he was a lot older than Kevin Durant was, but really, if you ask Kobe, I think that Achilles injury is what really did him in to where he couldn't play a couple more years.
Well, and like I said, that's why Golden State holds all these cards. They are going to be a big determining factor in this offseason where, they are still that hub. They are still that dynasty, as much as people want to write them off and say, no, they are done and it's over for Golden State. It's still a team where, for a lot of these free agents or teams or players that might be interested of where they may have never won a title or they are interested in being a part of a winning program, again, for the Golden State Warriors, they're still there. They still have a solid core with Draymond, with Steph, if they do re-sign DeMarcus Cousins, which I just don't see. But again, you still have a lot of good core. Andre, if he still sticks around, Sean Livingston off the bench, you have a lot of talented players that could still get you to that promised land. At least get to the playoffs and do something special with. But it is something where, yes, does the front office go, Kevin Durant, you're going to be out for a full year. We don't know if you're going to recover fully 100%. Will you be the shell of yourself down the road? All right, other teams take care of it. That frees up our monies here to invest into someone else. So, for instance, again, a Kawhi, if he wants to rejoin the West or if that's a possibility, whoever it may be, it is certainly all eyes are going to be in the Bay Area to see what the Warriors do, but also too it does land on, does Kevin agree to that term? Does Clay agree to those terms where both of those players and the team have basically come out and said, yeah, we're committed with each other. We're not going anywhere. But, we've seen wackier things happen in the offseason, and it's just going to be fun to watch. And also, too, with out there in the Bay Area, as we watch the damage get done out there, what's going to happen down the road with the Denver Nuggets as well?
Right. Well, the Denver Nuggets, I mean, if you look at the Nuggets, I can think they have their big three, right? They have, I would say Millsap, Jokic, and
Millsap's a free agent. I don't know if they're going to go back.
From what it sounds like, from what it sounded like, they were going to be trying to bring him back. But you still have Jokic, you have Jamal Murray and Gary Harris. Sorry, that's kind of their big three that they're going to try to really use for recruiting purposes. For the Nuggets, they're a team that I think if you look at them, they don't shoot the ball like Golden State, but you can see how they're trying to build a team around the same principles that Golden State did. Do it through the draft and then get some free agents to kind of fill in spots for them. Because as you can see now in the NBA, if you don't have a big three, you don't unless you're Toronto and you just have Kawhi Leonard.
Well, and the Nuggets have a shot. The Nuggets have a real good shot here. If they don't re-sign Millsap, they've got some money.
They do have a lot of money, yeah.
And they've got some monies that they could try to lure somebody there.
Well,
now, I'm not going to say Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, as we're getting close to the top of the hour, and I appreciate you, Chris, joining us at least as we get you in for the summer, at least joining Wyoming Sports Talk today. But regarding the Denver Nuggets, this past season of what they did, how special it was, again, going from not in the playoffs to just a phenomenal run that it fell short to the Portland Trail Blazers in the second round. Do you foresee, the Nuggets, if they are able to re-sign, if they pick up Millsap again, and again, they still have that core, the team is basically the same as is. Do the Nuggets still have that same repetition for next season? Do they have the same magic, or is this a one-season thing, in your opinion, of what they did?
I don't know. Michael Malone's a Popovich guy, and Michael Malone has just been looking for the opportunity to stay with one team and for him to have a little bit of control over personnel. And I think Connolly has really given them that. I think they both have been collaborative in acquisitions and who they draft. And you know what? I think that if the Nuggets can get Michael Porter to be the guy who had started at Mizzou, I think they could be a step above. Because if you look at their playoff run, they didn't use guys like Morris or Beasley as much. They just couldn't trust them. They went Eric Barton and they went Mason Plumlee a lot off the bench. But I think the Nuggets have a core to where they could compete every single time with the top of the West. I mean, would they finish a game, 2 games back of the Golden State Warriors? To be honest, I think for the Warriors, they probably were okay with Portland winning that series because they did have issues with the Nuggets in the regular season. Granted, the Warriors kind of coast through the regular season at this point, but there's matchup problems that the Nuggets pose that the Trailblazers don't pose. Jokic is somebody that's so tough to guard because he can do so much, and the Warriors don't have somebody that's of his size and his caliber that they can combat with.
Yep.
And other than Boogie, but Boogie was hurt most of the time.
Yeah, he certainly was hurt. And final question as we are at the top of the hour for you, Chris. Just going back to that AD trade between the Lakers again, as you are a Lakers fan or at least follow that team. Who won out of that trade? Did both teams win? Did one win over the other between New Orleans and L.A.? Again, I think in my opinion both teams won, but I think New Orleans for the future won. L.A. to be determined, but they certainly got their big guy who they wanted. But in your opinion, I mean, just kind of evaluate that trade of, what team did better, or did they both kind of pick up good pieces overall?
Oh, the Lakers won that trade hands down. They got rid of LeVar Ball.
That's true.
But no, I really do think it was probably a win-win for both. For me, the Lakers kept Kyle Kuzma, who is really who I wanted them to keep. Brandon Ingram's a good player, but he's inconsistent. He's hurt all the time. Same
with Lonzo too.
Yeah. Well, Lonzo's a different character in himself.
Yeah.
But I think what's going to hurt the Lakers is the 3 first-round picks that they gave up, because you just never know. Now, if New Orleans spoils them, then it doesn't hurt you as much. But, with how much talent is in, of course, New Orleans more than likely is going to be grabbing Zion this year. Plus, they'll have another first-round pick on top of that. New Orleans could have a very good franchise all of a sudden with a lot of young core players.
Give them about 2-3 years to develop this talent. It'd be like Philadelphia all over again.
Right, exactly. Trust the process in New Orleans now.
All right, we do need to take a timeout, get ready for our 4 o'clock hour, which we're already in. We'll be back with hour number 2 of Wyoming Sports Talk today. Coming up. First Tier Bank strives to remain competitive and offers some of the best CD rates in the community, as well as area banks and credit unions per Rate Watch reports. How does that make a difference to you? First Tier Bank can assist you in securing some of the best rates on CDs. First Tier Bank offers the personalized customer service you've grown accustomed to and deserve. Plus, feel confident that your finances are taken care of by a responsible, knowledgeable staff. Call 307-632-3500 and ask for Caitlin or Debbie. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Right now it's time to head over to Jolly Rogers RV Sales, Parts, and Service for low prices on outstanding RVs in Wyoming. Your local, exclusive Jayco dealer wants you to check out their closeout deals, as well as their 2019 inventory of trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers. You can save up to 30% on select models with approved credit. You can find them at 6102 East Highway 30. Jolly Rogers RV Sales, Parts, and Service is a proud sponsor of LCCC men's and women's basketball, also our local high school teams too.
We are the key to your cleaning success. The Key People that provides affordable office and professional cleaning services for over 40 years with exceptional customer care. All of our contractors have background checks and are licensed and bonded. We guarantee you a safe and secure service that is tailored to your individual and business needs. The Key People do not impose year-long contracts, and all quotes are free, confidential, and personalized. Call the Key People at 1-800-468-8283. That's 1-800-468-8283.
Join us for a free celebration of summer at the Community Racks and Events Super Day 2019. Saturday, June 22nd from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. Sponsored by Holly Frontier. Visit food trucks and vendors. Get soaked in a squirt gun fight. Bounce through inflatables or test your hand at kids' carnival rides. A fun, outdoor event for the whole family. Now located in North Lions Park. Don't forget the free concerts in the amphitheater, Joe Sjogren Shanghai, and Larger Than Life March 4th. Visit CheyenneRec.org for more details.
If you're looking for fun and adventure, Kia of Cheyenne is the place to start, and the 2019 Kia Sorento will help you find it. I'm AJ Miller, and the 2019 Kia Sorento will give you what you need to make things happen. This vehicle has plenty of power, all-season traction, safety features, technology, and comfort for any road you're on. Kia Sorento offers plenty of standard features for the money, and we're all about saving you money. Come in, call 775-0123, or go to KiaofCheyenne.com, and we'll make it easy.
Taco John's presents Olay the Day Pep Talks.
Human history has shown anything is possible with inspiration and hard work. The 4-minute mile, a man on the moon, a water skiing squirrel, and now sirloin steak burritos from Taco John's.
Sirloin steak burritos are back at Taco John's. Stuffed with hand-carved sirloin steak and bold flavors like the melty, savory grilled cheese steak burrito, plus steak and shrimp or steak and potato olays. And for the morning, 2 steak and egg breakfast burritos. Sirloin steak burritos are back, but only for a limited time. Olay the Day at Taco John's.
This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Also being heard on translator K266CC Cheyenne at 101.1 FM.
What you are about to hear is a sports talk radio show unlike any other that has ever before been broadcast in the capital city of Cheyenne, Wyoming, USA. This is Cheyenne, Wyoming's Sports Talk Authority. The Wyoming Cowboys, the Denver Broncos, the Colorado Rockies, and the Denver Nuggets. The show is local, it's regional, and yes, the show is national as well. Wyoming Sports Talk Today is on the air. If they're talking sports on the radio in Cheyenne, this is the place it happens. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today.
Hour number 2 of Wyoming Sports Talk Today being brought to you by Mondello's Pizzeria at 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. Open 7 days a week, open Monday through Friday. Right across the street, it's First Tier Bank at 1508 Stillwater Avenue. Lennox Auto Body and the Auto Glass and Detail Center. The Auto Body Shop over on Dunn Avenue, the Auto Glass and Detail Center over on Pershing Boulevard. Medicap Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical needs. Bluegrass Circle next door to Texas Roadhouse. Platte Valley Bank ×2, the east side location at the corner of College and Pershing, and of course the original location on Vandehigh. Kia of Cheyenne on Nation Way. And again, remember the whole family of Kias on the lot today. Check out whatever turns you on over at Kia of Cheyenne. Matter of fact, bring in that current bucket of bolts. They want your pre-owned vehicles as well. Kia of Cheyenne on Nation Way. Chick-fil-A at the corner of Windmill and Delrange, directly across from Powers Field and Menards, Ray and Cindy's Place. Again, go to CheyenneChicken.com. If you ever need our friends over at Chick-fil-A to come on by and cater your special event, they do a marvelous job. Chick-fil-A of Cheyenne, Windmill, and Delrange. Jolly Rogers RV Sales and Service over on Highway 30, your exclusive home for Jayco RVs, fifth wheels, and travel trailers. And we want to thank Taco John's of Cheyenne. Taco Tuesday, I say no more. We get things underway. Our scoreboard is being brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne. We go first to Nick.
Unfortunately, there is no local baseball or softball to recap. The only thing in action, at least baseball-wise, again, there is no hockey as well, but at least baseball-wise, the College World Series happening. Again, about the Sweet 16 right now in Nebraska. Elimination game between Auburn and Louisville, where in that game it is delayed due to the weather out there in Omaha. But right now, Louisville does have the lead 4-1 over Auburn. Again, it is an elimination game. Winner of this contest, which going to assume Louisville, if the delay goes on longer there in Omaha, again, they will move on to continue at least playing for the College World Series.
Major League Baseball, Phils and the Nats will try to play tonight at Nationals Park in D.C. They'll make up the lost game tomorrow as they were rained out last night. Rays and the Yankees in the Bronx at 5:05. Also in the 5 o'clock hour will be the Bucs hosting the Tigers. Angels, Blue Jays in the Rogers Center. Astros, Reds at Great American Ballpark. Mets and the Braves at SunTrust Park in Cumberland, Georgia. That'll get underway around 5:20. White Sox and the Cubs battle for the Windy City. It will be at Wrigley Field, 6 o'clock this evening. Indians, Rangers at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Bo Sox Twins hooking up at Target Field. Marlins, Cardinals at Busch, 7:40 tonight at Chase Field in Phoenix. It's only 101 degrees right now in Phoenix. Oh, do I wish we had that here. Rockies, Diamondbacks. It will be Antonio Senzatella for the Rockies. He's 5-5 with a 5.48 earned run average. He'll go up against Merrill Kelly. It's the Orioles and the Athletics in the Coliseum tonight, 8 o'clock hour. Brewers, Padres at Petco from Dodger Stadium. Giants, Dodgers tonight. Clayton Kershaw will go up against Sean Anderson. And it will be the Royals and the M's at T-Mobile Park in Seattle. Our scoreboard brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne.
Yo, this is your cup holder talking. You know me, the little round thing between your car seats. Now, listen, we need to talk. Now, I normally have a nice cold bottle of Mountain Dew in me, but at the moment, I'm empty. That's right, no Mountain Dew. Nothing in here but a couple of quarters and a dime. A fully capable cup holder like me just carrying your loose change, it's embarrassing. Look, I'm not made for loose change. I'm round like a bottle of Mountain Dew. Glistening, cold, and delicious. I'm made to keep Mountain Dew within reach at all times, so you're never far from that incredible bold citrus kick whenever you need it. Just inches from your hand. So find a store already, grab some Dew, toss it back, then place that bottle where it belongs, and put that loose change back in your pocket. Mountain Dew. Do the Dew.
Got something to say? Then get it off your chest right now. Phone lines are open at 307-514-1071. Make your opinion count and call the show. Wyoming Sports Talk today.
Hour number 2 of Wyoming Sports Talk today. We are waiting our second guest to join us. He is the skipper of Post 6, Untitled Lain, and he's now officially on the clock, so he should be popping his head in here.
Well, he said he'd join us at about 4:15, so again, give about 4 minutes from now at 4:11. But yes, talk about the weekend that was down in Pueblo with Cheyenne Post 6 and the weekend that's going to be as they will head out east to Omaha, Nebraska, where, again, all the weather is at right now. Again, delaying a few College World Series games right now, but they will be in action coming up at least tomorrow in Omaha, Nebraska, as they compete in that tournament out there. there. Again, their first game tomorrow night, 7:30. They will be taking on the Bozeman Bucks. So I at least talk a bit about the upcoming weekend as we are getting into the thick of it for local baseball, including Cheyenne Post 6, as they now journey across the nation and take on some higher level talent, or at least seeing some new teams that are not familiar to Cheyenne Post 6, but also to pick his brain on the Laramie Ranger situation, what has happened with the at least Legion around the state, pick his brain on a few things when he is able to come in studio. But keep it on the baseball route, as I talked about, and something that I handed to you, I don't even know if you have any more, but again, College World Series in action right now. We are down to the thick of things, where we are getting close to the Final Four, and also to determining who will be your national champion in College World Series. Teams of note, or at least teams that are remaining as of right now. Arkansas was eliminated yesterday due to the 5-4 loss to Texas Tech. So right now, and again, Louisville and Auburn, as it's looking, if the game is just canceled outright, or at least determined by Louisville being up 4-1, Auburn would be the next team on out. But so far, your teams remaining: Michigan, Florida State in one bracket. Florida State did lose yesterday to Michigan by a final of 2-0, so they will take on Texas Tech in that bracket one in a loser-out contest in that one. Vanderbilt did move on against Louisville, so Vanderbilt has moved on. They are going to take on Mississippi State, who defeated Auburn 5-4. Again, as we're waiting Louisville and Auburn to get determined, if weather does clear up, at least for tonight, Vanderbilt and Mississippi State should be playing as well. But those are the teams remaining in the College World Series. Of note, no Pac-12 teams, which is very surprising to me, again, as I thought UCLA...
Or West Coast teams in general.
Well, yeah, West Coast in general, but UCLA was certainly a favorite team, a team that I thought had enough to win the at least national championship. But, again, we are down to some familiar foes, or at least some familiar teams that have won it before. Florida State, again, Vanderbilt, a lot of SEC, Big 10, Big 12 action. So good quality teams remaining right now, but go figure that here we are again. It is a state away from us in Omaha, Nebraska. Weather is affecting baseball like it has with us out here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's affecting them just, about 300 miles to the east on I-80 there in Omaha, Nebraska. And it's just very surprising of just what Mother Nature has been like this entire season, or at least this entire spring/summer.
And the good news over there at the new stadium in Omaha, the relatively new stadium there, it's all-weather turf. So...
Well, I would assume this delay is more so about probably lightning in the area, if they not have some sort of severe weather out there, which is known to happen there in Omaha. So there is a good possibility about that. But again, it is delayed, where Louisville is still leading that game. According to ESPN on the schedule, they even removed tonight's game, where it was supposed to happen at 5 o'clock, Vanderbilt versus Mississippi State. So I wonder if games are just going to be pushed to tomorrow, where tomorrow we're supposed to have more games out there. But again, just interested to see if this weekend, because it does concern Cheyenne Post 6, of if they're dealing with weather issues, are we able to get this at least tournament at least underway for Post 6 as they head out this way?
But I understand, though, once we get to, correct me if I'm wrong, either tomorrow or Thursday, it turns into isolated thunderstorms. So we're pretty much through the damaging weather here. Maybe a little more weather tomorrow, but again, isolated thunderstorms means we're going to pretty much have a nice day, but that possibility, and it's a slight possibility, and usually an isolated thunderstorms in the outlying area. So we should be, at least here in the local area, we should be getting through all of this moisture that we've been having. And to be real honest, it is getting old. It's just, it especially when it comes to baseball or /softball. And we were just talking with Chris before he leaves, because he plays city softball. Look at all the games that have been wiped out. And I was talking with Adam Galicia.
According to Chris, as he talked, at least on the way out, 200 games, at least approximate here in town, are yet to be made up, which they are going to in kind of concurrent Fridays of just basically trying to
and they may have to throw a Saturday in there, too.
A little bit overworking possibly at least a lot of these players, where Chris was saying he has about 3 games just here in this week, where, maybe it is something where we're trying to fill in these games where, again, these players I do believe, pay for playing
player fees.
Yeah, so
sponsor fees are involved.
Yeah, again, where you're trying to get these games in so they get their money's worth, so to speak. So it is 2019 has just been an odd year compared to last year and a few other seasons where weather has just been hitting, at least out in this area, if not the entire nation, pretty hard. Where
it's been pretty much here
it's felt on the
west,
but it feels like it's been felt a lot, especially here in the state of Wyoming. Whether it has been snow that has gone on for forever, again, the rain, the thunderstorms, again, it has affected Extreme. It's affected obviously with the Extreme last weekend, or at least last Thursday, their tournament, or at least their games up in Torrington, where they're trying to make that up. Post 6 has run into a few cancellations. Mustangs ran into cancellations this past Saturday. Again, rec leagues. It's just going on, and obviously, is there a solution? Is there a situation where out in the Midwest, do we look into just building stadiums with domes on them at this point in time? I mean, how is there a way to avoid this? Or, I mean, what needs to be done?
Yeah, what do you say to the mountain communities? What do you say to the steamboats of the
world? Do we play at 11 a.m. or something, where we talk with Sheldon Baxter again, where they're used to, at least on the time down in Florida, where they move up those games, knowing that it's pretty much consistent. Out here, it's kind of consistent as well, too, where you get those afternoon thunderstorms that come off the mountains. Is it something where a lot of these games need to be pushed up earlier, of where we need to play them 9 a.m., 10 a.m.
Well, if you do, and just think of a team out of Denver, okay? If a team out of Denver comes up to Powers Field to take on Post 6, we'll just use that as an example, and you give them 9 o'clock game. Now, on Saturday, that may work, but during the week, you're asking these guys to come up here, leave Denver at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Because it's going to be a solid hour and a half, 2 hour drive.
My question, though, is are we going to get to that point where it does affect, again, where money is costly? We're seeing it right now where again, even with Post 6, with the Mustangs, with Extreme, it costs money. It costs every team to get up, to go at least to Omaha, down to Pueblo, wherever it may be. It still costs you money.
I know, but to build a dome stadium, so to speak, Nick.
Yeah, I'm just tossing that out.
I know you
cheap,
are,
but I'm just saying, is it something that, do teams out here need to start realizing, or at least communities, states out here in the Midwest, do we need to address, like what we're seeing right now in the College World Series with our local teams? Is it something to, push these games earlier instead of late afternoon?
The thing that we all need to do, and I think the call is pretty much being answered by our high schools, and the city did it half-arsely. And I know it costs a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But, they need to pony up for some recreation. They need to make both Powers and Pioneer all-weather turf.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you have all-weather turf at East, you have all-weather turf at Central, you have all-weather turf.
Well, and that's where the city doesn't get involved. That is school district.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, that's what the city needs to do. First and foremost, you need to get rid of the grass.
But now, again, this is a city that complains about costs.
I know, but at the softball field,
has an ice and event center that is dead in water right now.
Well, that's their stupidity, not mine. But again, then you look at the softball fields. You got the Converses of the world. You got the Brewers, Martin Luther King Park. I could think of. You still got skin infields, and you still got grass outfield. Games are going to get rained out no matter what. Or even last night, as I was driving home, as I went through, I drove on Converse, and you look at the CJL fields. The only thing that was playing on the field last night, ducks were swimming on the first base side. So, I mean, if you're going to turf everything, then you're going to have to do every park turf. And you have possibilities then of playing. Because, again, the all-weather turf absorbs a lot of the water.
Yeah.
And within, like we had that big old rainstorm yesterday, and boom.
And it doesn't muddy up.
And the sun comes right out. But again, is that good to have? All-weather turf for the kids, for the softballers? Is it, I think it would be good for the baseballers first and foremost. And again, like Adam and myself were talking, I played down there in Castle Rock. And I think it's a great deal having that all-weather turf.
Yeah.
Because I've played over at Double Angel in Parker, where the mound was dirt, and the home plate area was dirt. But that, you tarp it. You put tarp over it, and once the storm passed by, you wiped off the water off of the turf, and you were playing within 20 minutes after the rain went bye. So, it costs money. But I'm just saying, if you have a couple million, instead of investing hundreds of millions on a dome stadium, maybe you might want to go there.
No, I get that. Again, city is going to do it as cheap as possible. But I mean, is that something that out in this area, is it a reality or something that needs to be addressed? Of, do we need these overhauls for these parks, for these teams, again, whether it's rec, whether it is for Post 6, the Mustangs, the Extreme? Is it something that these fields need to be accustomed? Because again, we're running into a year where the games being played out in this area are being canceled due to, again, whether it is field conditions, weather conditions, these fields can't take it. Is it something that needs to be addressed beforehand so we can make sure that they are playing?
I think Pioneer and Powers definitely need to be all-weather turf. I would think, and again, too, if you want to save some of your seasons, because, again, I don't know how the CJL is, and I don't know how it is across the street over at Dutcher, I would like to see at least one of the parks become all-weather turf, because you always will have, an ace in the hole. Hey, you know what? We may lose 2 games, but we'll at least be able to get this one in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I same on the softball fields. Maybe you make one. Matter of fact, if I recall years ago, I was playing in a tournament down at Roland Moore, and they had just did something to the fields there. They didn't all weather turf them at the time, Nick. But what they had done is they had put in a different type of dirt, and they were able to put quick dry on that field. And of the 3 parks that were wiped out, we were able to play. I think there's 4 parks, so we were able to play. They got this one field manicured with this quick dry and got us on the field. It was an hour and a half delay. Then they had a chance to work on the second field and try to get that done. And plus the parks had lights. I'm just saying, all-weather turf is the thing today. If you want to try to get things done in time, because here's the way this is the way this city operates. We got to get everything done before Frontier Days, because the city stops for 10 whole days while Frontier Days is going on.
Yeah.
So we have to have all softball done. We have to have all baseball done because it's Frontier Days. So I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe, you want to do a couple parks, 3 parks, and all-weather turf them.
I'm just saying, what is the smarter, at least, solution, or at least what would be, again, as we sit, at least knowing how the city operates, is it something that will they invest into this all-weather turf to avoid this, or is it something that the city will at least look into, or should they look into, of pushing these games early, of recommending that?
One-word answer, no.
Yeah.
It's a simple answer. No. They won't do it.
Yeah.
Recreation is not number 1 on the priority list, Nick.
Yeah.
Where have you been at?
No, I've been here, but I'm just saying, in an ideal situation out here in this city, it'd be nice if they did realize that, or at least address those needs, especially what we're seeing here in 2019, where it does feel a little bit odd of how much weather we are seeing, going back years ago where we were running through those droughts. I don't think, hopefully the city does not say that we're still continuing in a drought at some point in time and try to charge, extra for watering lawns and blah, blah, blah. But who knows at this point in time. But
heck, they might charge Mother Nature for watering our lawn because we're not using their services right now.
Possibly. But again, that's just happening at least kind of the baseball side, whether it's a local, again, also too happening out in Omaha with the College World Series. Again, just weather has just been the big issue, and it's affected MLB as well, where we look at so many cancellations, even down in Denver, where Rockies need to make up a lot of games as well, and there's not a whole lot of time on these calendars. And it also, too, brings up the question, we need to talk about a few other things as well, like, for instance, Cowboy football, what they announced. But it does question where, again, Chris was talking about with his rec softball, with these teams at least trying to find these dates, does it run the risk of injury? Do we have to worry about running at least these players a little tired at this point, or whoever it may be, again, running the risk of injury, at least being overworked at a point in time where, again, you're trying to fit in so many games on a certain day because that's all you got, and this is the time slots that you have for these fields, and now instead of having a day off, you got to play a doubleheader or something to make up because you have no other time.
And I go back, some 30 years ago, maybe even a little less than that. But I remember we were making up games on Saturdays as well as Sundays.
Mm.
And this is back in the day when this city used to have quite a few softball tournaments every weekend. I think this was even before you were born or you were just a baby at the time. But we used to have a tournament every weekend. Well, sometimes you had to say adios to the tournament to make up for, we had to back the tournaments up to get the makeup games. And I remember one year we actually were playing a tournament championship game during Frontier Days. So,
but again, it costs the city money. It's going to cost these areas, these teams money of trying to get that all determined. So there's multitude of factors. And is there a perfect answer for what is happening? Probably not at any point in time.
I still say you need to make your baseball parks, your 2 baseball parks, because of the weather here in this part of the world, you need to turf them. All-weather turf.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple drill.
You
Get
would
rid
hope
of the
so.
grass. The grass is nothing.
Well, again, where your high schools have addressed that, where they realize, hey, the grass is just a hindrance, and for our fields with all-weather turf is what works out when we're able to. Where again they can clear off that snow pretty well, and again still play soccer, or at least attempt to play when it's not as terrible conditions, but again where it's still playable, it's just sweep it off and you're good.
It also has better drainage.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want the water to go down. So, again, I leave that in the city's hands. You and me, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back with more after these words here on 1480 KRAE.
You can actually get something good for your health at a drive-through window. When you order your next prescription from Medicap Pharmacy, call ahead and use our drive-through window. Or you can call for free delivery. You can even log on to Medicap.com and order a prescription refill. Your Medicap pharmacist will call you to make arrangements for pickup or delivery.
Medicap Pharmacy will always make time for you.
Medicap Pharmacy, 1947 Bluegrass Circle, next to Texas Roadhouse in Cheyenne. Or call 635-3712.
Summer is just beginning, and it's a great time to plan all your home improvement and remodeling projects. This is Lexi.
And this is Aaron from Platte Valley Bank. A home equity line of credit can help finance summer projects, but can also fund summer fun like a boat, ATV, or even a convertible.
Stop in either Cheyenne location and we'll show you the hidden value in your home with a home equity line of credit from Platte Valley Bank.
Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. Credit subject to approval. Certain restrictions apply.
Chick-fil-A is a proud supporter of our high school athletes at East, Central, and South. May the school year bring success to all of you. Before you start your day, stop by Chick-fil-A for a hearty, delicious, and satisfying breakfast. Only at Windmill and Del Range. Breakfast is served Monday through Saturday from 6 in the morning till 10:30 a.m. Breakfast with Chick-fil-A, the most important meal of the day at Windmill and Del Range. Your locally owned and operated radio stations, KYOI-FM and 1480 KRAE AM, are just that, local, serving Cheyenne and Laramie County, where your advertising dollar stays local too. It doesn't end up in Colorado, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, or even New York. We conduct business here, we shop here, and we live here. And we support our entire community 24/7, 365. Just because it has a window dressing doesn't mean it isn't a facade. A reminder from KYOI and 1480 KRAE.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
For today, it'll be cloudy with thunderstorms likely throughout the day with highs around 67. For tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with rain showers likely with lows around 47. On Wednesday, it'll be mostly sunny with highs around 76. And on Wednesday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 47.
Here the season never ends. From Wyoming sports to the Broncos in Denver. From Rockies baseball to talking hoops with Nuggets basketball. Local, regional, and national. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, right here on AM 1480 KRAE.
Well, we understand Ty Lain en route to the radio house, so we'll have him on here in just a little bit. Running a little late today, that's okay, because a couple of things here. I want to remind you that, and they don't mess around, the NBA, boom, draft coming up here on Thursday evening.
Yep.
So,
happening out in Brooklyn.
And again, I'm looking at projected placements for the first round. Obviously, Zion Williamson will go to New Orleans.
They should go to New Orleans unless the Pelicans just decide to go stupid.
Jay,
again, he is as he's been touted, the franchise, or at least a guy you could develop a franchise around. I would assume Pelicans go that route.
Jay Morant projected to go to the Grizzlies. Again, these are just projections. R.J. Barrett out of Duke, so Duke's going to have two going in the first three picks. Barrett
surprise.
Will go to the New York Knicks. New Orleans gets the fourth number. Remember, they get the number 4 pick now with that trade.
With the Lakers, yeah.
With the Lakers. They're going to look at DeAndre Hunter, the sophomore out of Virginia who's declared early. Texas Tech sophomore Jarrett Culver will go to Cleveland. And again, this is just all projections. Darius Garland out of Vanderbilt will go to the Suns. Kobe White out of North Carolina to the Bulls. I'm just going to give you the top 10 here. Jackson Hayes will go to the Atlanta Hawks. Number 9 will be Cam Reddish. He'll look at, and that's another Duke player, so we're already looking at 3 guys from Duke in the top 10.
I mean, it was a team that was favored at a point, or at least for the majority of the season, to win the national championship. Does not surprise me. Again, Duke, obviously, they are the powerhouse. You think of Kentucky's of the world. Again, that get multiple entities in the draft. North Carolina as well, so it's a surprise.
So Reddish will go to, projected to go to Washington, and projected to go to Atlanta will be Brandon Clark out of Gonzaga. So just throwing that out there. That's what some of the experts are predicting. I'm just kind of looking down here for Golden State. They're looking at sophomore KZ Okpala, who was a small forward out of Stanford, 6'9", 210 pounds.
Unless they decide to trade away that pick or do something.
Who knows?
NBA is not that – it feels like the NBA is not that wild. It feels like the NBA draft kind of goes to Hoyle of what predictions kind of at least are anticipated. Obviously the big thing for Thursday is at least the key factor is will New Orleans go with Zion at number 1? Will they kind of blow away that pick?
No.
I would assume not. I would say 95% that they are not going to.
The number 4 pick, maybe.
Number 4 pick, that is going to be interesting to see what New Orleans does. Again, that is absolutely trade bait if they want to. Again, they can do whatever they want. Entertain any team of saying, hey, we got this top pick. For instance, hey, Denver Nuggets, you want this and we want this. Here's this opportunity. Or working with any of those upper echelon teams that want to get out of those high picks. That's going to be worth to watch. But trade movement and everything else, I don't anticipate a whole lot other than probably that number 4 pick. But would not be surprising if New Orleans just decides to stick with at least number 4 and draft whoever they may want.
Interesting you mentioned the Nuggets, too. They don't have a number 1 pick. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, the Nuggets have that opportunity. They do have a round 2 pick, but, will the Nuggets make an offer to New Orleans for number 4? Do they really need to? I don't think so. I don't believe so. Again, Nuggets are pretty good, standing pat. They don't need to be aggressive for any time. It would be a bit surprising if Nuggets were aggressive to try and get into the first round to get a draft pick, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, on the Denver Nuggets side, because, again, I don't think they're going to re-sign Millsap. I really don't believe
they don't need to. I think as a core, as Chris talked about and what we know about with the Denver Nuggets, again, they have a solid 3 right now with Harris, with Barton, with Jokic. They don't really – Millsap – he really didn't develop. He was inconsistent throughout the season, had a bit of the injury bug. Even the playoffs, it took him a while to kind of get adjusted. It's not a big loss if they don't re-sign him, especially with the amount of free agents that are available, where Denver might be a little bit of an attractive landing spot for some of these free agents, that it is a possibility that, all right, Millsap, it was fun. We entertained the thought. It didn't work out. Here are some other big names that might be the push to get this Nuggets team into the Western Conference Final, if not into the NBA Finals, as a possibility.
All right, well, Thursday will be draft day. Will Duke have 3 performers go into the top 10. That'll be interesting to see. All right, we got to take a time out. Our guest has arrived. He's in studio. We'll be back to talk some baseball when we come back. First Tier Bank strives to remain competitive and offers some of the best CD rates in the community, as well as area banks and credit unions per Rate Watch reports. How does that make a difference to you? First Tier Bank can assist you in securing some of the best rates on CDs. First Tier Bank offers the personalized customer service you've grown accustomed to and deserve. Plus, feel confident that your finances are taken care of by a responsible, knowledgeable staff. Call 307-632-3500 and ask for Caitlin or Debbie. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Right now it's time to head over to Jolly Rogers RV Sales, Parts, and Service for low prices on outstanding RVs in Wyoming. Your local, exclusive Jayco dealer wants you to check out their closeout deals, as well as their 2019 inventory of trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers. You can save up to 30% on select models with approved credit. You can find them at 6102 East Highway 30. Jolly Rogers RV Sales, Parts, and Service is a proud sponsor of LCCC men's and women's basketball, also our local high school teams too.
Cheyenne's oldest coin dealer and supplier, the Coin Shop, is proud to serve the community since 1982. Trade or sell your gold, silver, and other precious metals. Visit with David and the knowledgeable staff for a fair and honest assessment of your valuables. Located at 510 West Lincoln Way. Call them today at 778-7196 to schedule your personal consultation.
Capital Lumber is lumber one in Cheyenne. Are you listening? We're all the lumber store you'll ever need.
Come one, come all. The Capital Lumber Company's 11th annual Bell Sander races on Wednesday, June 19th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. The entry fee is free, and you can register today at the Capital Lumber Company inside. Also, you can do it on their website and Facebook page. Prizes will be awarded for first, second, and third, and most creative belt sander. It's fun for the whole family at Capital Lumber Company's 11th annual belt sander races, Wednesday, June 19th at 1222 Dunn Avenue in Cheyenne. In life, you question everything. The same should be true when it comes to managing your wealth. What are your investment recommendations based on? How much are you paying in fees? And how can those fees impact your returns? Charles Schwab encourages investors to get engaged and ask tough questions. To learn more, call the Schwab Cheyenne branch at 307-459-0998 or visit schwab.com/Cheyenne. Charles Schwab and Company, Incorporated. Member SIPC.
Taco John's presents Olay the Day Pep Talks.
Human history has shown anything is possible with inspiration and hard work. The 4-minute mile, a man on the moon, a water skiing squirrel, and now sirloin steak burritos from Taco John's.
Sirloin steak burritos are back at Taco John's. Stuffed with hand-carved sirloin steak and bold flavors like the melty, savory grilled cheese steak burrito, plus steak and shrimp or steak and potato olays. And for the morning, 2 steak and egg breakfast burritos. Sirloin steak burritos are back, but only for a limited time. Olay the Day at Taco John's.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
For today, it'll be cloudy with thunderstorms likely throughout the day with highs around 67. For tonight, it'll be partly cloudy with rain showers likely with lows around 47. On Wednesday, it'll be mostly sunny with highs around 76. And on Wednesday night, it'll be mostly clear with lows around 47.
Tired of lazy and predictable sports talk radio? We know you are. This is Cheyenne's new sports radio home. It's Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's right here on AM 1480
Welcome back to Wyoming Sports Talk Today. He joins us here for the remaining minutes of our program today, and that's Lain, skipper of Post 6. You know, a lot of things that we can get into, including your team and baseball in general. But real quick, we were having a conversation prior to you coming in the door about games that are being lost, whether it's softball, Little League, you know, and again, you guys, even the Connie Mack team here in town has also, the Mustangs have lost games. You know it out at Pioneer Park as well as Powers. The infield itself can absorb the heavy rain. It's playable within a certain amount of time, even if the sun comes out. But the outfield, once it's drenched, it's done. You guys can't play, right?
Yeah, definitely the outfield takes a little bit longer, and we've got a very good drainage system in underneath that turf. So really, I mean, if you could go dump a bucket of water on it and watch it just run right through the turf and out the drainage system. So the biggest thing really is the infield is what gets rained out the most, and so we've got that part covered with no dirt there. But the outfield, once that gets to a certain point where it's just taking too much water, it gets soppy, and the biggest thing is you can tear up that outfield grass pretty good when it's wet like that. So, it'd be nice to have that whole thing turf, but we are in a very lucky, good position to at least have that infield part turfed up.
Is it a necessity to get at least all weather for both Pioneer and also to Powers Field here in town, where again cancellations kind of they mount up. They are mounting up, especially with 2019, where we're seeing weather's been a bit strange this season, whether it is snow and the rain, but. Is it something that the city needs to address immediately? Is it a growing concern for Post 6 for the Cheyenne Mustangs? Is it something that the city needs to get done like immediately to at least for future seasons so it doesn't, again, those cancellations don't mount up even further?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think is if we could get turf on the mound and the warning tracks and get those last 2 bits of dirt areas cleaned up. We've been on a lot of fields that have turfed warning tracks, turf mounds. Those turf mounds are unbelievable. You'd be surprised at how well they work. You can wear your metal spike on it, and you're really just replacing the landing zone, a little strip on that mound every 5 years or so. And so if you get those last 2 dirt areas cleaned up, and then I think a luxury would be to have the outfield turfed. And there's some good baseball programs that have that luxury, but We're in a pretty good spot. I feel good about us. But you're right. Turfing that entire thing would be sweet to have.
Well,
that.
And also, too, we look at the situations where even Coach Galicia said the same thing with the Extreme. They get to play in places where it's turf. But usually if you're playing a team, it's not so much you're playing in a Powers Field situation. You're playing at a high school. So, again, that's a school district deal where it's turfed. I'm sure you've run into places where you're playing on turf fields right now.
Yeah, definitely. Some places that have the school district paying for some of that stuff, and that's definitely the case. We see some really nice ones as we're traveling around. And in Pueblo last weekend, the mounds are turf there, and the home plate area is turf. And so those are sweet turf mounds that they have, and our guys get to pitch on it, and you see just how awesome it is to have that mound turfed up. So I'm a big fan of trying to get those last couple dirt areas turfed up, and then kind of see what we can do from there.
Well, hopefully we can push the city and those officials to at least get that done for Post 6 and the Cheyenne Mustangs. Certainly at least get them in action and hopefully get it done. But sticking on the theme with Pueblo, at least this past weekend, Thursday all the way up until Sunday, a lot of games for Cheyenne Post 6 competing down in that tournament. But you saw teams from Texas, you saw teams from New Mexico, Nevada, again, Greeley Gojos, the local Pueblo team as well. Looking at for the 5 games, or at least 6 games, going at least 4-2. The only 2 losses against the local Pueblo team and the Texas team. But overall, again, what you saw, where you stand right now, 27-11 from this past weekend. Just give us your assessment of what you saw down there.
You saw some live arms down there, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. That's one of the funnest tournaments for our season, and you get to see a lot of people from a lot of different places. And the Texas team was good. I think we had a great chance to beat them, and they ended up in the championship game of the tournament. And we played well. We were right in there. Lost a late game to Pueblo on their field in the night game with a big crowd. It's always tough to beat them in this tournament with their atmosphere and the community out there. So I thought we played well and hung in there in that game. And then overall, beating Farmington and Greeley and a couple other places to get to 4 wins in that tournament is a good weekend. And, I told our guys any day that you come home with a single win in this tournament is a quality day. You'll take a split. And we got the split the first day, and we got a sweep of a doubleheader on Saturday to give ourselves an opportunity to get in the bracket. So I thought our guys came through and played pretty well for us last week.
One thing that's been consistent, and we've talked about it ad nauseum around here with you, is the pitching staff. I mean, and again, your big-time hurlers, Brooks, again, Trumbull, they're delivering for you, but now you're starting to see some of the other guys step up to the plate as well.
Yeah, Trenton Rodriguez threw a great game for us on Sunday in the getaway game against Greeley, and I thought he had his best outing of the year. He really looked comfortable for the first time, where he really trusted his stuff and threw it in for strikes and let our defense play behind him, and really proud of him for that effort. And, R.J. Prince threw a great game for us against Pueblo in the night game and threw a solid 4 innings, gave us an opportunity to win that game. So we're starting to get some contributions along with Travis and Garrett and Cody and Trey and those guys that have kind of been carrying us early in the season. We're starting to have more guys carry the water now.
Again, as your team is kind of firing on all cylinders, getting to that point where, now we are in the point of the schedule where things get a little bit tougher as we now head, at least for Cheyenne Post 6, out east to Omaha, and, dealing with weather right now, again, with the postponement, at least delay with the College World Series happening out in Omaha. Again, hopefully weather does not affect Post 6 as we go out east on I-80 to Omaha, but you'll see teams, for instance, on Wednesday, Bozeman out of Montana, an Arkansas team out of Bryant, Creighton Prep, as you mentioned last season, a very phenomenal, at least outfit out there. Also two teams out of South Dakota. So as we saw good teams down in Pueblo, you're going to see just as good, if not better, teams coming up this weekend and get tested again out in Omaha.
Yeah, this is the part of the schedule that starts to get fun. We kind of get to see where we stack up against everybody here. But it's funny, we were talking about the turf. We're going to Creighton Prep, which is funded by their school. They got that beautiful all-turf outfield, infield mounds played. All of it's turfed up, and it's just a beautiful facility. We enjoy playing there, and we're excited to get back to that ballpark and get to play Creighton Prep, a team we beat last year. I think they're going to remember that. They usually do, and it'll be fun to compete against them again. And Bryan, Arkansas, another team that was in the Legion national title game just a couple years ago. So good competition. Bozeman, Montana is tough this year. They've played really well out of Montana. So once again, we kind of talk about it. We're going to get a bump up in our difficulty when we go to Pueblo, and then it's going to continue to increase as we get into July, and then we get back into kind of our state, and hopefully we're a better team for having done it.
For these tournaments out in Omaha, Nebraska, where we're talking about, again, where you mentioned that Arkansas team being in the national, at least, title, Creighton Prep, a good outfit, some other teams from at least the local area, including Cheyenne Post 6, but you talk about at least talking to your players, kind of keeping them focused. How many distractions are at these kind of prestige tournaments where, I would assume college scouts are going to be out there. You're going to have the local fans showing support for the Creighton Prep team when you see them coming up Friday night out there in Omaha. I mean, how many distractions are there for these players to kind of keep their minds, or at least you have to kind of fight to keep them focused on baseball and winning that game?
Yeah, you're right. There is a lot, especially when we hit these few weeks here in June. There's a lot of colleges out right now trying to recruit and find guys, and we've got some unsigned guys that are looking for a place to go, so that's a little added pressure to you every single day when you step out on the field. And we just try to tell our guys play well and win. The college guys are going to show up to the championship game where the good players are at. And so
let's talk real quick here. We haven't even put a plug in for them throughout the course of the year. So let's talk about the younger guys, the Hawks. How are they performing this season? I'm sure you're keeping your eye on them because that's your future team coming up.
Yeah, definitely. They're having a good year. They've played a lot of varsity level competition this year, and I think they're about 10 or 12 games, or maybe 7 to 10 games above 500, and they've got some young guys on that team, but they're having a really good season. They'll be in Laramie's varsity tournament this weekend over there, so that'll be a good experience for them, and we'll just keep challenging them a little bit.
Thank goodness for mentioning Laramie.
Yeah, it's something we've been dying to ask.
Well, yeah, and again, too, this would be even a better perspective because, again, I've seen your dad manage, and I've been out and watched you manage. And again, it's tough because the umpires are never going to get all the calls right, and there's that time where you want to, get into their face. But American Legion Baseball that I know of, it has to adhere, again, you as a player, former player, now as a skipper, you have to adhere to very special rules, especially by Post 6. So tell us a little bit, not so much that you're handcuffed as a manager, but, you guys are held to high standards when you're on the field.
Yeah, this program, Legion Baseball, is all about, it's created by veterans, and we play for them and for our city, our town, and our country is really what it is about. And we have a creed, a code of conduct that we recite when you get to the state tournament. Both teams go stand out on the line and recite that code of conduct and, kind of pledge that we're going to go about doing things the right way. And we're going to stand and make sure we are looking at the flag and standing still and doing all the different things to try to conduct ourselves at the highest level that we can.
Now you look at the viral video that happened in between Laramie and Billings,
Miles City,
excuse me, and as a coach, you have to applaud the coaching staff for trying to stop that before it got way out of hand, but also too as the player, when somebody flips you off. Sometimes the creed, the motto, kind of falls by the wayside, and you become a human. Right. So, again, you have a Wyoming State Board of American Legion. You have your own local board. Does the state board get involved when something like this happens?
Yes, definitely. The state board is all over it, and it's just an unfortunate situation. I don't know exactly what happened to lead up to that moment that we all see. A lot. You've been to a baseball game. You know a lot of stuff can lead up to that particular moment, and trying to prevent that, to me, probably isn't in the moment that we all see. But there's ways to prevent it earlier in the baseball game from getting to that point, and it's just disappointing that it got there. But our state board has come in and made suspensions and done things, and that kind of sends the message to the rest of our state that this is unacceptable behavior, and we've got to make sure we keep it under control.
Has the state board actually reached out to, whether it is Post 6, Gillette, Sheridan, Casper, have they actually reached out and talked with you or the board members of Post 6 and said, hey, basically came out and addressed us saying, this is what happened with Laramie. We don't want it to happen with you guys. Has the state board kind of sent out, talked with any of you to kind of sit down and say, hey, we're addressing it. Hopefully it won't affect any of the teams, or has it kind of rippled across the state, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. They've reached out to us. Head coaches across the state have kind of talked to each other about it and trying to address the situation. I know that the Legion commissioner in Wyoming has suspended the player indefinitely with strict rules on how he could possibly be reinstated with maybe a chance of not being reinstated at all. So with that kind of punishment, that kind of lays the law down that we can easily sit down with our teams and say, this is completely unacceptable. I don't know what got him to that point, but whatever it is, this is not the appropriate way to act. And, it's tough when you get flipped off by somebody on the other team. It's hard to blame him for being upset about that, but there's different ways that we can handle that situation for sure.
Regarding the situation, again, looking back with what happened with the Laramie Rangers, in your opinion, Coach, with that situation and everything that has been handed down, is this something that, again, with the viralness in the association with the Laramie Rangers, again, almost a guilt of association, in your opinion, does this, obviously we know it's going to affect Laramie in a specific way, whether it is recruiting teams wanting to play them in the non-conference, however it may be set up, but in your opinion, does this affect Post 6 in almost a guilt of association kind of way of saying, hey, Cheyenne's part of Wyoming, Laramie's represented in Wyoming, all Wyoming teams must play the same as this Rangers team?
Oh, I'm sure that we'll be guilty by association and at some degree, and we spend every day trying to fight against, people calling us a Wyoming team. Oh, just a Wyoming team. And every day we try to prove ourselves against that. And then to have things like this happen kind of set us back a little bit. So we just got to learn from it, move forward, and just keep pressing and trying to show people what our program's all about.
The word is going to be discipline. And again, you don't play all Legion teams during the course of the spring-summer schedule. And you will find a team that's chippy. Again, you've been through these wars as a player and as well as a manager, and you don't like it, and you didn't like it as a player. But how do you relay that message to your guys? Hey, blinders, block it out. And it's tough. And I'm sure you're getting it from the stands as well. So how do you express that message to your kids?
Yeah, it's never easy. That's for sure. And the best thing you can do as the coach is nip it in the butt immediately. On the first little comment, we're going to get our team locked in. And for us, it's about playing the pitch that we're on. And if you're focused on anything other than that pitch, then you're not ready to play anyway. So just trying to block out and lock in one pitch at a time. The opponent shouldn't be able to affect the way that we play the game of baseball. I mean, it's a game against the ball more than it is against an opponent. So we're just trying to lock in and compete against the baseball.
Well, and we'll focus away from the negative, as this is going to be kind of the final thing for you, Ty. And again, appreciate you joining us here today in studio, as you've been for the past couple, at least for a couple months now, as we're getting close to the top of the hour. But on the positive side, at least coming up a week from today, happening over at Powers Field, regarding at least the kids, especially here in the city of Cheyenne, you have a little special kids camp coming up for Cheyenne Post 6. Just talk a bit about that.
Yeah, this is, for us, it's probably the funnest day of the year for us. Get to come home after a long road trip and kind of get our community out to the field. We're going to have our kids camp on Tuesday, the 25th of June. And, it's also going to be an alumni day. So we'll do our kids camp in the morning and get all those guys out there and have fun and enjoy playing the game of baseball. And then bring the alumni and the kids back out for the game that night and play a very good opponent in Catalyst, who's coached by an alumni of our program. So it should be a very fun morning, afternoon, and evening, and we're looking forward to it.
And more information regarding that, at least kids clinic, you can go to post6baseball.com for more information about that, and also to how to sign up for that clinic.
Ty, I want to thank you so much again for joining us. We do appreciate it. We got to wrap things up on our end here. I want to remind you, coming up this evening from 8 until 10, it's our Golden Age